penis? Now I'm confused.
$60 could kill companies worth billions. Not a recession, not a scandal, not some regulatory crackdown or failed merger. A price tag, 2 digits on the front of a video game. That's all it would take to crack the economic foundation the entire AAA gaming industry is standing on. And the company holding the hammer, Rockstar Games, the people behind Grand Theft Auto. Right now, every major game publisher on the planet, EA, Ubisoft, Activision, Nintendo, Sony, is watching Rockstar the way a rabbit watches a hawk circling overhead. GTA 6 is coming, November 19th, 2026, and nobody knows the price. That uncertainty isn't keeping gamers up at night. It's keeping executives up. The suits, the people who approve budgets and greenlight projects and decide whether a studio lives or dies. Because the number Rockstar picks doesn't just affect one game. It determines whether the pricing model holding the entire industry together survives or collapses like a building with the foundation yanked out. If GTA 6 launches at 70 or 80 bucks, the industry exhales. Business as usual. Everyone keeps making money the way they've been making money. The machine grinds on. But if GTA 6 launches at 60, the old price, the price we paid for games for almost 20 years straight, studios close, business models implode, the rules for how games get made and sold get rewritten overnight by a single company powerful enough to rewrite them. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how that happens, step by step, dollar by dollar, until the full picture snaps into focus and you can't unsee it. We need to start in 2005. The Xbox 360 just hit shelves. That new console smell. Games jump from $50 to $60. People gripe, which in 2005 means posting angry paragraphs on forums with color schemes that look like they were designed by someone who actively hated human eyes. But within a year, nobody cares anymore. 60 bucks is the number. It's what games cost. You pick one off the shelf, hand over 320s, go home. And then something bizarre happens. The price freezes completely. For 17 years, new video games cost $59.99. 17 years. Let that register. From the Xbox 360, through the PS3, through the PS4, through the Xbox One, all the way to the dying days of the last console generation. Across nearly 2 decades, gas went from $2.30 a gallon to over $5. Movie tickets doubled. A cup of coffee that cost you $1.50 started costing $4. Rent in major cities didn't just go up, it tripled. Groceries, insurance, plane tickets, streaming subscriptions. Everything in the economy crawled upward, dragged by inflation and the slow erosion of what $1 actually buys you at the store. But games, 60 bucks, frozen solid, a pricing fossil from another era, perfectly preserved while the economic world reshaped itself around it. That is the longest a major entertainment product has ever held a flat price in modern history, in any medium, and it did something powerful to the brains of consumers. It installed an expectation so deep it became instinct. Games cost $60, not 70, not 80, 60. Full stop. That number got welded into the collective nervous system of every person who grew up holding a controller. Then 2020 arrived, and someone took a crowbar to the lock. 2K Games looked at the PS5 and Xbox Series X, brand new hardware, brand new generation, and decided new consoles deserved new prices. They slapped $70 on NBA 2K21 for next-gen systems. And with that single decision, like a crack spreading through a windshield, the dam broke. Sony followed within months, pricing their big PS5 exclusives at $69.99. Then EA, then Activision. One by one, publisher after publisher crossed the $60 line and settled into 70 with the synchronized precision of a marching band. The talking points were rehearsed, almost word for word identical across companies that were supposedly competing with each other. Development costs are up, teams are bigger, games are more complex, inflation is real. $70 is long overdue. And honestly, parts of that argument held water. Making a modern AAA game is grotesquely expensive. The actual numbers are coming, and I promise they'll make you uncomfortable. But here's what ate at people, what sat in the stomach like a rock. The same publishers charging an extra $10 at the cash register were simultaneously cramming their games with microtransactions, battle passes that cost $15 a season, day one DLC ripped out of the base game and sold back in shrink-wrapped pieces, loot boxes, paid cosmetics, rotating in-game storefronts designed by people with psychology degrees and no shame. So players were paying more to buy the game, and paying more once they were home and had the controller in their hands. It felt like a shakedown, like getting mugged politely, with a smile and a terms of service agreement 3,000 words long that nobody has ever read. People raged. Comment sections caught fire. Reddit threads spiraled into tens of thousands of replies. Hashtags circulated. Boycotts were declared. And then everybody bought the games anyway, because boycotts are loud on the internet and invisible at the cash register. Always have been. Probably always will be. Then Nintendo went further than anyone thought they would. April 2025. The Switch 2 reveal. Mario Kart World announced as the big launch title. The game designed to sell the console. Price $80. Physical cartridge. Could run you 90. $80 for Mario Kart. You could almost hear the wince, millions of people, all at once, sucking air through their teeth so hard it should have changed the atmospheric pressure. Nintendo's defense was vintage Nintendo. It's about value. It's about content. This game is so big, so vast. Their localization director got in front of a camera and said players would find it to be probably the richest Mario Kart experience they've ever had. An industry analyst named Matt Piscatella, a name you hear constantly if you follow the business side of gaming, posted two words that landed like a slap. New normal. New normal. Not a spike. Not an experiment. The new floor. And here's the detail that makes everything I'm about to say possible. Everyone, analysts, journalists, gamers with strong opinions, and podcast microphones. Everyone assumed Rockstar would be the first publisher to push past 70. Everyone figured GTA 6, the most hyped release in gaming history, would be the one to set the new ceiling. Instead, Nintendo moved first. They absorbed the backlash. They tested the temperature, which means the entire world is now staring at Rockstar with clenched fists, waiting to see which direction they go. Up, sideways, or backward. Before we talk about the price, you need to understand the money, not revenue, cost, because the financial reality of GTA 6 has left the atmosphere of normal business and entered a category that has no honest comparison in entertainment history. GTA 6 may have cost somewhere between $1 and $2 billion to develop. Some estimates climb higher. One investigation on Reddit, using publicly available employment data from Rockstar North's Edinburgh headquarters, estimated that salary costs alone, just paychecks, no technology, no licensing, no marketing, no server infrastructure, could approach $2.1 billion. If that's even in the neighborhood of accurate, the total cost, including marketing, might clear $3 billion before the game hits a single shelf. Frame it this way. Take the three most expensive movies ever produced. Avatar, about $237 million. Avengers Endgame, about $356 million. Star Wars The Force Awakens, roughly $245 million. Stack them, $838 million combined. GTA 6 costs more than all of them piled on top of each other. This isn't a game budget. This is what a small country spends running itself for a year. How did it get this absurd? Start with time. Rockstar began planning the next Grand Theft Auto almost immediately after GTA 5 shipped in 2013. Pre-production, the concepting, the writing, the prototyping consumed years by itself. Full-scale development ramped up around 2018 with a workforce that eventually swelled past 2,000 developers, 2,000 people spread across studios around the globe, building a fictional version of Florida called Leonida. Vice City, reimagined in sweltering detail. Neon buzzing on rain-slicked pavement, strip malls and swampland, and that thick, humid Florida, air practically oozing out of every screenshot. Then COVID hit and shattered the production rhythm. Remote coordination across time zones became a nightmare. Creative decisions got made, fought over, scrapped, rebuilt from scratch. The release date slipped. Fall 2025 became May 2026. May 2026 became November 2026. Each delay meant 2,000 salaries still running. office leases still billing, render farms still burning electricity 24 hours a day. The meter never stopped. Then the hack, September 2022. A teenager linked to the hacking collective Lapsus Dollar cracked into Rockstar's internal Slack channels and dragged out 90 clips of in-progress footage, rough, unfinished material, half-loaded textures, jerky animations, placeholder interface elements. It hit the internet like a grenade tossed into a gas station. Take-Two's stock dropped 6% before the market even opened. Journalists called it the biggest leak in gaming history. The hacker was eventually arrested. The damage felt irreversible. Except it wasn't. The hype didn't die. It grew. People watched the shaky, unpolished clips and saw something underneath the roughness. Ambition so enormous it was hard to wrap your head around. Vice City rebuilding itself frame by frame. A female protagonist, Lucia, walking through a world that felt more alive than anything gaming had produced before. The leak was supposed to be a catastrophe. Instead, it became the most effective piece of free advertising in the history of the medium. So why can Rockstar afford to gamble $2 billion on a single product? Why can they spend more than most movie studios will earn in a decade and still sleep soundly? Because of what happened last time. GTA 5, September 17, 2013. $60, 11 million copies sold in the first 24 hours. $1 billion in revenue in 3 days. The fastest any entertainment product had ever hit that milestone, outpacing every blockbuster Hollywood had ever produced. But the opening weekend was just the spark on a very long fuse. Over the next decade, the game got re-released across 3 console generations and PC. PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox Series X. It sold over 200 million copies total. Lifetime revenue crossed $8 billion. $8 billion. That makes Grand Theft Auto 5 the most profitable entertainment product ever created by human beings. Not the most profitable game, the most profitable anything. No movie, no album, no book, no TV series, no concert tour. No theme park has come within shouting distance. And the part that matters, the part you need to absorb fully, let it soak in. Because it's the engine driving this entire argument, is where that $8 billion came from. The $60 sticker price generated a fortune, no question. But the real money geyser was GTA Online. GTA Online launched alongside GTA 5 as a free multiplayer mode. If you own the game, you got access. No extra charge. But inside GTA Online, Rockstar built an economy with teeth. You could buy shark cards, virtual currency, with your real credit card. That currency bought cars, apartments, nightclubs, bunkers, yachts, military-grade hardware, anything. And the prices were set with surgical precision. Earning enough in-game money to buy a top-tier vehicle could take weeks of grinding, repetitive missions. Slow accumulation. The kind of time investment that makes a part-time job look efficient. Or you could reach for your wallet. One click, instant gratification. At its peak, GTA Online was generating between $500 million and $1 billion per year. Per year, just from people spending real money inside a game they'd already purchased a decade ago. The $60 price tag was never the product. It was the door, the welcome mat, the friendly handshake that got you inside the building. Once you walked through, once you were standing in the lobby of this enormous, constantly evolving digital world, that's where the real transactions happened. Keep that image in your head, the door. We're going to come back to it. Now let me introduce you to the man whose signature will ultimately appear on this decision. Strauss Zelnick, CEO of Take-Two Interactive, the parent company that owns Rockstar. Trim, composed, the kind of executive who radiates boardroom comfort the way a furnace radiates heat. He decides what number goes on the box of GTA 6 and what he said in public, if you listen with both ears, is pulling in two directions at the same time. March 2026, he tells investors GTA 6 will likely be priced in the $70 to $80 range. Clean, expected, the kind of guidance that makes analysts nod and update their spreadsheets without a second thought. Late April 2026, a brand new industry conference called ICANN. Zelnick shifts tone. He points out that game prices have actually gotten cheaper relative to inflation. Everything in your life costs more than it did 10 years ago, he says. But games are still 60 to 70 bucks. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Sounds like he's laying pipe for a price hike. Games are underpriced. The market needs correcting. Brace for 80. But then he says this: we look at how do we deliver something amazing, and how do we make sure that what people pay for it feels very reasonable. Very reasonable. And then, what we think about is making the most spectacular piece of entertainment on Earth, in history. Feel the tension. If games are too cheap, the obvious move is to charge more. That's basic capitalism. But if your real priority, your actual strategic, long-term priority, is to get the maximum number of people on Earth to buy your game and enter your online ecosystem, then very reasonable doesn't mean 70 or 80. It means the number where hesitation evaporates, the number where the gap between wanting and buying shrinks to zero. There's a fracture running through Zelnick's words, a gap between what he's telling investors and what Rockstar's business model actually demands, and everything that follows lives inside that fracture. Picture this: summer 2026. After years of silence, Rockstar's marketing machine kicks alive. A second trailer drops Vice City at golden hour. Palm trees whipping in a storm, bass pounding from a convertible ripping down a rain-slicked highway. Every frame dripping with that trademark satirical edge. And at the end, clean white text against black. $59.99. What happens inside every person watching? For 2 years, The industry has been conditioning you to expect 70 at minimum. 80 felt likely. 100 wasn't impossible. Remember that Xbox listing at nearly £90 sterling that popped up before Rockstar waved it off as a placeholder. Your brain has an anchor, a number it's been trained to expect. And when the actual price comes in $20 below that anchor, something chemical fires. Relief, surprise, a weird flash of gratitude toward a corporation, which should feel strange, but doesn't in the moment. 60 doesn't register as 60. It registers as $20 saved. That's anchoring bias at work. And the beautiful part for Rockstar is they didn't set the anchor. Nintendo did it with their $80 Mario Kart. The analysts did it with their predictions. The rumor mill did it with the leaked placeholders. Everyone else spent years winding the spring, and Rockstar gets to release it. Think about what that does to Rockstar's reputation. A company criticized for crunch culture, stories of developers sleeping under their desks during the push to ship Red Dead Redemption 2, criticized for aggressive online monetization, for designing GTA Online's economy to nudge players toward real money, spending at every turn, criticized for years of stony silence between releases, for making fans wait a decade with almost nothing to show for it, except a single trailer and a Wikipedia page full of rumors. And then, in one number, they flipped the script. The studio that could have charged 80 probably should have. Given what they spent building the thing, looked at the market, looked at the consumer, and chose 60. You cannot buy that kind of goodwill through advertising, but you can purchase it indirectly. It costs about $10 to $20 per copy on a game that'll move over 100 million units in its lifetime. That's the cheapest brand rehabilitation in corporate history. Now the hard numbers, the math that actually matters. GTA 5 sold 11 million copies on day one at $60. GTA 6, carrying a decade of anticipation and wearing a price tag that feels like a gift. 20 million copies in the first week is conservative, maybe even modest. 20 million multiplied by 60. That's $1.2 billion in 7 days. Now the alternative. At $70, the higher price creates drag. Not for the hardcores. They'll buy at any number. They'd pay 100 without blinking. But for the casual buyer, the on-the-fence buyer, the parent doing Christmas shopping who's trying to decide between this and a pair of sneakers, the teenager counting coins on a bedspread, 70 introduces a half second of hesitation. And in consumer behavior, a half second of hesitation kills millions of transactions. It's the difference between, yeah, I'll grab it, and maybe next month. Call it 15 million copies in the first week at 70. That's 1.05 billion. 60 generates 150 million more dollars in the first week than 70. The lower price makes more money. Full stop. But that's just the door fee, just the handshake. The real play is what happens after. Remember the door. Every copy of GTA 6 sold is another body walking through that door into GTA Online, the most carefully engineered, most aggressively monetized, most addictively designed spending ecosystem in gaming history. If the online mode retains even half of its predecessors' spending patterns, each player is worth 50, 100, 200, $500 in lifetime microtransaction revenue. Those 5 million additional copies you move by pricing at 60 instead of 70. Those aren't units on a spreadsheet. Those are 5 million new wallets entering a system designed, from the wiring up, to open them. A $60 price tag isn't generosity. It's bait, the most profitable bait ever dangled in front of a consumer audience. And now we need to talk about what it does to everyone who isn't Rockstar, because this is where the story goes dark. You're a consumer. November 2026. You've absorbed the hype. You know GTA 6 cost more to build than any entertainment product in human history. You know it's enormous. You know it's $60. Now you scroll through the PlayStation Store and see the new Assassin's Creed at 70, Call of Duty at 70, Mario Kart World still sitting at 80. Something curdles, not a rational calculation. Instinct, a reflex. If the biggest, most expensive, most ambitious game ever made is $60, why does anything else cost more? How does Ubisoft justify 70 for a game that most consumers would describe, fairly or not, as like GTA, but less? How does Nintendo defend 80 for a kart racer when GTA 6 has kart racing and shooting and flying and swimming and an entire simulated criminal underworld, all for $20 less? The comparison is unfair. Every game has its own economics, its own team, its own balance sheet. Mario Kart World might genuinely earn its price tag through years of content and replay value. But consumers don't study balance sheets. They compare, they feel, and the feeling once GTA 6 is 60 is immediate and corrosive. Everything else is overpriced. That's a value reset, and it hits the companies already hemorrhaging the hardest. Ubisoft, a company in open distress. Thousands of jobs eliminated over the past 3 years. Studios shuttered across Europe and North America. Games killed mid-development, sometimes years into production. Entire teams disbanded. Years of work thrown in the trash. A shrinking project slate and a corporate restructuring that's hollowed the company down to its skeleton. Their flagship franchises, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, are open-world action games, same genre as GTA. If GTA 6 is 60, Ubisoft stares at 2 doors, and both lead somewhere terrible. Door 1, drop their price to match, and watch their margins, already thin as tissue paper, turn negative. Every copy sold at 60 actually loses money when you factor in development costs and platform fees. Door 2, hold at 70, and watch their sales numbers fall off a cliff as consumers pick the better deal without thinking twice. There is no Door 3. EA catches the same blade. Their open-world Star Wars games, their sports franchises, all suddenly look overpriced sitting next to a $60 GTA 6. Warner Bros. Too, with their big-budget DC and fantasy titles. Square Enix, every publisher selling expensive games in a market where Rockstar just redefined what $60 buys you. And the wound goes deeper than one bad quarter. Think about how the 60 to 70 transition happened in the first place. Not overnight, not in one bold announcement. It was slow, coordinated, almost choreographed. 2K stepped up first, then Sony, then EA, then the rest, each publisher waiting for the one before to absorb the backlash before taking their own step forward. Years of careful messaging, years of consumer conditioning, a kind of silent pact among competitors to raise the price together, like a school of fish turning in unison, each one watching the others for the signal to move. One announcement from Rockstar undoes all of it. Every year of conditioning, every carefully worded justification, gone, because people forget price hikes fast. They shrug, they adjust, they move on. But they remember price drops for years. The feeling sticks. Once someone sees GTA 6 at 60, every $70 game on the shelf feels wrong. That feeling doesn't fade. It hardens into a reflex. They carry into every purchase for the rest of the generation. Now pay attention, because everything I've told you so far has positioned Rockstar as the hero, the rebel, the company that bucks the trend, fights for the consumer, prices with integrity in a market drunk on greed. It feels good. It sounds right. And it might be completely, dangerously wrong. A $60 GTA 6 might not be an act of kindness. It might be the most ruthless, most cold-blooded competitive play the gaming industry has ever witnessed. Walk through it with me. November 2026, holiday shopping season, the single most important sales window of the year for every game company on the planet. GTA 6 drops November 19th, positioned perfectly before Black Friday and Christmas. Now imagine you're a regular person with a gaming budget. Maybe you've set aside $150 for games between November and January. That's reasonable. That's normal. At $80, you buy GTA 6 and have $70 left. Enough for one more full-price game. Maybe Call of Duty. Maybe something from Nintendo. The rest of the industry still gets a slice of your wallet. At 60, you buy GTA 6 and have 90 left. Except you don't spend it. Not on another game. Because GTA 6 is so massive, so suffocating in scope, so deliberately designed to consume every free hour you have. Especially once GTA Online goes live, that you don't need anything else. Not in November, not in December, not in January, maybe not until spring. GTA 6 doesn't just take your $60. It takes your time, your attention, your evenings and weekends, and lunch breaks. Every hour you spend in Leonida is an hour you're not spending in someone else's game world. every dollar spent on GTA 6 is a dollar not spent on a competitor. And a lower price doesn't just attract more buyers. It locks them in earlier, more completely, more aggressively. The cheaper the ticket, the fuller the stadium. And a full stadium has no room for anyone else's event. This is Amazon's playbook, circa 2002. Price books below what brick-and-mortar bookstores could survive on. Pull every customer into your orbit. Watch the competition starve. Amazon lost money on individual book sales for years. Didn't matter. The low prices hoovered up the entire customer base until the local bookstores shuttered, until Borders filed for bankruptcy, until Amazon was the only shop most people ever thought to visit. Walmart ran the same play with groceries. Move into a town, undercut every local shop, absorb the losses, because you're big enough to bleed and the local stores aren't. Wait for them to close. Own the market. Rockstar can execute this same strategy, and they've got something Amazon and Walmart never had. GTA Online, a perpetual revenue engine that monetizes every customer, month after month, year after year, long after the initial $60 purchase is a distant memory. Their competitors don't have anything comparable. EA doesn't have a single product generating $1 billion annually from in-game spending alone. Neither does Ubisoft. Neither does Square Enix. Those companies need the $70 price tag to cover their development costs and keep the lights on. Rockstar doesn't. They can price below the market because their money comes from a source their competitors simply cannot replicate. That's not competition. That's a company armed with a flamethrower fighting people, carrying sticks. And here's where it gets genuinely scary. Zoom out. Between 2022 and mid-2025, the gaming industry bled roughly 45,000 jobs. Not open positions, not theoretical headcount reductions on a planning document. Filled desks emptied. Real people who went to work one morning and came home without employment. Embracer Group, a bloated Swedish conglomerate that spent years gobbling up studios the way a snake works through a cage of mice, collapsed from over 15,000 employees to about 8,000 in under a year after a $2 billion Saudi investment deal fell through. Studios that had existed for decades vanished overnight. Games years into development got canceled with a single email. Ubisoft restructured so aggressively and so repeatedly that the company in 2026 barely resembles what it was in 2023. Unity Technologies, the engine behind thousands of indie and mid-tier games, went through 6 rounds of layoffs in less than 3 years, shedding an estimated 3,000 jobs. All of that happened without a pricing shockwave. It happened because the cost of making big games outran the industry's ability to sustain them. Budgets blew past $200 million, past $300 million. The audience grew, yes, but not fast enough to absorb the financial bloat. The ice was already fracturing under the weight. A $60 GTA 6 would be a boot coming down hard on the weakest point. Mid-tier publishers, the companies sitting between the mega studios and the scrappy two-person indie teams, would get caught in the squeeze and crushed. They can't match Rockstar's price because they don't have Rockstar's ecosystem. Consumer pressure would drag their prices down anyway, and at lower prices, with their current cost structures, the math stops working. Revenue drops below expenses. Losses pile up. The board has the conversation. More layoffs, more closures, more consolidation. Within 5 years, you'd be staring at an industry shaped like an hourglass. A few titanic publishers at the top, a swarm of tiny indie operations at the bottom, and almost nothing in the middle. And perched at the very top, gazing down at the wreckage, with a quarterly earnings report that makes shareholders cry tears of joy. Rockstar, a $60 price tag, looks like generosity. It feels like generosity. Your wallet whispers thank you. But underneath, it might be the most calculated act of competitive destruction in gaming history. A play designed not just to sell more copies of one game, but to drain the oxygen from every other company in the room, slowly and quietly, while the consumers cheer and the competitors suffocate. The hero of this story might be the villain. Both things can be true at the same time. That's what makes it so hard to sit with. All right, I've been swinging hard in one direction. Time to swing back, because there are real, serious, non-stupid reasons Rockstar might not go to 60. And if I'm going to be honest with you, and I am, these reasons deserve the same weight as everything I've said so far. First, Wall Street. Take-Two is publicly traded. Shareholders expect maximum revenue per unit sold. If Zelnick walks into a board meeting and tells the room he deliberately left $10 or $20 per copy sitting on the sidewalk, some very well-compensated analysts in very nice offices will want a detailed explanation. The volume argument, more copies at a lower price, more GTA Online revenue downstream, is a long-term play. 3-year thesis, maybe 5, but Wall Street lives in 90-day windows. A lower per-unit price looks ugly on a quarterly report, even when total revenue is higher, and stock prices can plummet on perception alone before a strategy has a single quarter to prove itself. Zelnick would need to convince a room full of people whose bonuses depend on this quarter's performance that the real payoff arrives in 2029. GTA 5 is his evidence, the most profitable entertainment product in human history, sold at $60. But evidence and belief are different animals when you're standing in front of a board at 9 in the morning, with last quarter's numbers glowing on the wall behind you. Second and simpler, they don't have to. GTA 6 would sell a staggering number of copies at any price. 70, people pay. 80, people pay. Maybe even 100. The demand is so intense, so deeply wired into gaming culture, that the price barely dents the outcome for the core audience. Economists would call this price inelastic. The quantity demanded holds steady regardless of where the number lands. So why go lower? Why leave money on the table when people are reaching across it to hand it to you? Every extra $10 spread across 100 million copies is another $1 billion. Tangible, real, not theoretical. Choosing not to take it requires a kind of nerve that most corporate boards physically do not possess. The counterpoint is that the core audience isn't the whole audience. At 60, you pick up the casual buyer who's heard the buzz but wouldn't commit at 70. The parent grabbing a Christmas present without running a mental cost-benefit analysis. The kid who's been saving for months and has exactly $60 in a sock drawer, but not a penny more. And beyond borders, the gamer in Sao Paulo, in Jakarta, in Manila, in Lagos, where $70 or $80 isn't a casual expense. It's a week's wages, where $10 is the difference between buying a game and downloading a cracked copy from a torrent site. A lower price unlocks a global audience measured in tens of millions of additional people. But that's a long horizon argument. Long horizon arguments lose to quarterly earnings reports more often than they win. That's just the way corporations breathe. Third, the precedent trap. Price GTA 6 at 60, and then what? Red Dead Redemption 3 at 60. Every Rockstar release forever locked at that number. Take-Two also publishes NBA 2K, WWE 2K, Civilization. If the company's crown jewel costs 60, defending 70 for anything else in the catalog becomes an ugly internal argument. Precedents are easy to set and miserable to break. And then there's the option that splits everything down the middle and is, if I'm being honest, probably the most likely outcome. A tiered model, standard edition at $59.99, deluxe at $79.99, 3 days of early access, a bonus vehicle, a chunk of GTA online currency, ultimate at $99.99, a full week of early access, exclusive vehicles, a mountain of virtual cash, collectors at whatever number they feel like printing, because someone will always pay. This is where the strategy gets slippery. Rockstar gets the $60 headline, the PR win, the goodwill, and they still pull 80 or 100 from every engaged player who can't stomach the thought of starting 3 days behind their friends, watching everyone else drive cars they don't have access to yet. The standard edition quietly becomes the lesser edition, the one you pick if you don't care enough, the one that subtly signals you're not a real fan. And the real price, the one most dedicated players actually pay, settles right where the industry wanted it all along, $80 or higher. Even in this scenario, though, the $60 entry point still matters. It still resets expectations. It still makes every other $70 game on the shelf look expensive by comparison. Even a compromise from Rockstar sends tremors through the ground. And now, we need to talk about the thing sitting in the corner of this entire conversation that everyone keeps glancing at, and nobody wants to address head-on. Microtransactions, the thing the whole strategy is actually built on, if we're being adults about it. A $60 GTA 6, paired with an aggressively monetized online mode, isn't a consumer-friendly product. It's a loss leader wearing a friendly mask. Loss leader, grocery store term. It's when a store sells milk below what it costs to stock, because the cheap milk pulls you through the front door, and once you're inside, you load up a cart with $50 of other stuff you hadn't planned to buy. The milk isn't the business. The milk is the hook. GTA 6 at 60 is the milk. GTA Online is every other aisle in the store. GTA Online's current economy, the one humming away right now inside GTA 5, 12 years after launch, works with mechanical precision. Earning money through gameplay is slow, deliberately, punitively slow. The grind is engineered, not accidental. Buying currency with real cash is instantaneous. One click, one charge, immediate results. The most desirable items in the game, the fastest cars, the biggest properties, the flashiest weaponry carry price tags, designed to make grinding feel like a punishment and spending feel like sweet relief. This isn't random design. This is architecture, a spending system built by people who understand how human brains respond to friction and reward the way. A locksmith understands pins and tumblers, and it has been refined, updated, and tuned for over a decade. Every update teaches Rockstar more about what makes people reach for their wallets. They have more data on player spending psychology than most universities. Now take that system, refine it with 10 additional years of behavioral data, sharpen every edge, polish every friction point, and plug it into the most popular game on the planet. With 20 million players arriving in the first week and 100 million streaming in over the first year, every one of them standing inside the store, surrounded by things they want. Credit card one click away, shortcut button pulsing on screen. The revenue potential is almost impossible to overstate, and it means a $60 base price might actually increase the total money Rockstar makes per customer, not decrease it. Because more people walk through the door, and more people eventually buy something once they're inside. Cheap door, expensive room. That's the whole model in 4 words. Does this make Rockstar evil? I don't think the word fits. Plenty of players enjoy GTA Online for years without spending a cent beyond the base purchase. They grind, they earned, they have a genuinely good time. The free updates, new missions, new vehicles, new story content keep flowing because the big spenders fund them. The whales, the top spenders, subsidize the experience for everyone else. There's real value in a game that keeps growing for a decade at no additional cost to most of its players. That's not nothing. That's something a lot of games promise and almost none deliver. But let's not dress this up as charity either. A $60 admission to a spending ecosystem generating billions per year isn't kindness. It's economics. Cheap tickets, expensive drinks, the oldest model in entertainment, executed at a scale that would make a Vegas pit boss whistle through his teeth. So where does all of this leave us? Three possible futures. Three very different versions of the gaming industry that could be staring back at us by 2028 or 2029. And the one we actually get depends almost entirely on a number that may not even be finalized yet. First future, $60. The earthquake, holiday 2026, becomes a one-game season. Publishers either delay their releases to avoid the blast zone or accept the carnage and push forward hoping for a miracle. Some cut their prices preemptively, slashing their own margins in a panic. Others hold at 70 and watch the sales reports come back with numbers that make accounting departments reach for the antacid. By early 2027, the $70 standard starts splintering. Games that launched at 70 are getting discounted to 60 within weeks of release, which used to take months. Consumer expectations shift across the entire market. Not because anyone mandated it, not because of a law or a regulation, but because GTA 6 proved that lower prices generate more revenue, and consumers absorbed that lesson overnight. They absorbed it the way dry ground absorbs rain. Instantly, completely, permanently. Mid-tier studios get ground down. More closures, more consolidation, more talent flooding the job market with nowhere to go. Within 5 years, AAA development concentrates in 4 or 5 mega publishers. Everyone else goes small, gets swallowed through acquisition, or finds a niche and clings to it. Consumers win short-term, lower prices, more value per dollar, more content for your money. But the long-term cost is a narrower industry. Fewer voices, fewer risks, fewer of the weird, ambitious, left-field games that only get made when mid-sized studios have enough breathing room to experiment. And GTA Online 2 becomes the most profitable entertainment product of the decade, generating revenue so massive that second place needs binoculars. Second future, $70. The exhale, the safe bet, the expected outcome. 70 locks in permanently. Nintendo's 80 stays an outlier for a year, maybe 2, and then others start testing it. Slowly, carefully, the slow squeeze continues like it always has, prices inching upward. Microtransactions spreading into genres that didn't have them before. Live service pivots happening even when they fail spectacularly and publicly. Layoffs continue at a steady, grinding, soul-crushing drip. Not a wave anymore. A tide. Consumers grumble, adapt, redirect their anger from sticker prices to the monetization inside the games. The battle passes, the loot boxes, the premium currencies. That becomes the battleground and the window for a pricing disruption. It slams shut. The next chance to reset the conversation doesn't arrive until the next console generation, or the next economic crash, or some black swan event nobody can predict. Whichever comes first. Third future, tears. This is probably the most realistic outcome, and it's the one that satisfies nobody completely, but angers nobody enough to riot. 60 at the base. $80 for the deluxe, $100 for the ultimate. Rockstar captures the headline, the goodwill, and the volume at the bottom, while extracting premium margins from the top tier. Other publishers copy the model within months. A new arrangement emerges, not a flat price, but a spectrum. 60 on the floor, 100 at the ceiling. The standard edition becomes code for the cheap one. And the real version of the game, the one the marketing makes you feel like you need, costs 80 or more. Whether this is progress or regression depends entirely on where you're sitting and how much money you have. It creates access at the low end for people on a budget. It creates pressure at the high end for people who can't stand being left behind. And it shifts the conversation from, what does this game cost, to a more uncomfortable question. Which version of this game can you afford? But pull even further back, past the pricing, past the corporate chess, and the competitive warfare. Because no matter what GTA 6 costs, its mere existence rips a hole in something the gaming industry has been telling itself for years. The model is broken, has been for a while. GTA 6 is just big enough to make the cracks visible from space. Average AAA development budget in 2026, $200 million and climbing fast. Marketing can easily double that number at $70 per copy. Subtract the 30% platform cut that Sony or Microsoft or Valve takes off the top. And a $300 million game needs to sell somewhere between 12 and 15 million copies just to turn a profit. Not to be a hit, just to not lose money. How many games sell 15 million copies in any given year? Count them on one hand, maybe two hands in a great year. Everything else, every game that doesn't crack that threshold, either loses money outright or scrapes past break-even with chewed fingernails and hopes the DLC patches the hole. The industry has been plastering over this crisis with supplemental monetization. Battle passes at $15 a season. Season passes at 30 or 40. Subscriptions, premium editions, in-game currencies with conversion rates specifically designed to confuse you about how much real money you're spending. Anything to squeeze more revenue from each customer without pushing the sticker price past the point where consumers openly revolt. But that strategy has a ceiling too, and the ceiling is getting lower. Players hate being bled dry after paying full price. Governments in Belgium, the Netherlands, and other countries have started regulating loot boxes, classifying them as gambling. Public tolerance for aggressive in-game monetization is shrinking, even as the financial need for it grows. The industry is caught in a vice. Costs pushing from one side, consumer resistance pushing from the other, and the walls are closing in. The future of gaming isn't one road. It's two roads splitting apart and heading in opposite directions. On one side, the mega games, GTA, Fortnite, Call of Duty, EAFC. These aren't traditional games anymore. They're platforms, digital economies, with their own internal logic and their own financial gravitational pull. They generate money through massive player populations and perpetual spending cycles that run for years. They can price their base product at almost anything, 60, 40, free, because the purchase price is just the entrance fee to an economy that never stops running. On the other side, everyone else, and everyone else needs a completely different strategy to survive. Some have already found one, and this part of the story is worth telling because it's the part that gives me actual hope. Larian Studios shipped Baldur's Gate 3 in 2023. Enormous RPG, hundreds of hours of content, branching storylines that rewarded replaying the game from scratch with entirely different outcomes. No microtransactions, no battle pass, no spending hooks of any kind, no recurring revenue model, just a game sold for a fair price, made by people who clearly cared about every inch of it. It became a phenomenon, not a for an RPG phenomenon, a phenomenon, period. It swept Game of the Year across every major award show and sold millions of copies purely on the strength of what it was. It proved that the old model builds something genuinely great, charge a fair price, trust the quality to do the selling, still works when the quality is actually, honestly, undeniably there. From Software keeps proving the same thing with everything they touch. Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro. No monetization tricks, no premium currencies, no battle passes, no live service roadmap promising content that may or may not materialize. Just games made with obsessive, borderline unreasonable care, rewarded by tens of millions of copies sold, and a level of player devotion that borders on religious. From Software doesn't need to charge $80. They don't need loot boxes. They make their money the old-fashioned way, by making something so good that people can't stop talking about it. And in 2025, a small French studio called Sandfall Interactive released Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, turn-based RPG, budget under $10 million, under $10 million, a rounding error in GTA 6's accounting. And yet the game looked gorgeous, striking art direction, a visual identity so strong it practically burned itself into your memory after 30 seconds. It played with precision, told a story that burrowed into people's heads, and stayed there long after the credits rolled. It became one of the year's biggest critical hits, and a dead serious Game of the Year contender, standing shoulder to shoulder with games that cost 20, 30, 50 times more to produce. It proved concretely, inarguably, with receipts, that you do not need $300 million to make something people love. You need taste, focus, a clear understanding of what your game is, and the discipline to make that specific thing exceptionally well, instead of trying to make everything adequately. Scope is not quality. Budget is not ambition. Sometimes the most ambitious thing a studio can do is be small on purpose. That might be the most important idea buried inside this entire argument. Not the price tag, not the competitive warfare, not the shareholder dynamics or the market analysis. The idea that value has nothing to do with how much money you spent building something. Value comes from quality, from craft, from the gap between a game that was built to be good and a game that was built to be big. A $60 GTA 6 would force the entire industry to stare at that idea, whether it wanted to or not. It would say, publicly and permanently, that even the most expensive game ever made doesn't need to be the most expensive game to buy. And if that's true for GTA 6, what does it mean for the $200 million game charging $70 and delivering half the experience? Let me speak directly to you for a moment. Not the audience, not some abstract demographic. You, the person hearing my voice right now, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Every game you buy is a vote, not a ballot box vote, a cash register vote, and it screams louder than any tweet, any Reddit post, any petition with 100,000 signatures that nobody in a boardroom has ever read. When you buy a game at 70 without flinching, the message is clear. The price is fine, keep going. When you buy at 80, the message is, you can push higher than we thought possible. When you wait for a sale, you're saying the launch price was wrong. And when you skip a game entirely, you're delivering the one message every company on Earth fears hearing most. You lost me. The price of GTA 6 isn't about GTA 6. It's about every game that follows it. Every price tag that gets printed after this one uses GTA 6 as a reference point, consciously or not. If it launches at 60 and demolishes every sales record in entertainment history, that tells every boardroom on the planet that lower prices build bigger audiences. That volume wins. That meeting the consumer where they are beats, extracting maximum dollars from the consumers you've already captured. If it launches at 80 and still shatters records, a completely different lesson echoes through those same boardrooms. You can charge whatever you want if the product is strong enough. There is no ceiling. Both outcomes reshape the industry in opposite directions, and you, with your wallet, with your purchase, with your choice to buy or wait or skip, you help determine which outcome we get. And here's what I keep circling back to, no matter how many times I turn this argument over in my head. Rockstar holds a position no other company on Earth holds. Nobody else has the brand. Nobody else has the guaranteed audience, well north of 100 million potential buyers. Nobody else has the perpetual revenue machine churning in the background. Nobody else has the financial room to absorb a lower price on the front end and still profit obscenely on the back end for a decade. If Rockstar prices at 60, it's not because they believe all games should cost 60. It's because they can make 60 work, and most of their competitors can't. That's the double edge of this sword, and there's no way to hold it without getting cut. A $60 GTA 6 is great for your bank account. It might be catastrophic for the number of studios that survive the next 5 years. It might strangle mid-tier development and leave us with a gaming world that's all skyscrapers and cottages, and absolutely nothing in between. A world where you can play GTA, or you can play a $5 indie game. And the whole middle of the spectrum, the Larians, the From Softwares, the studios that make the risky, weird, personal games that win Game of the Year, get squeezed out of existence. Or, and this is the version I want to believe, even though I know wanting something doesn't make it true. Maybe it's the shock that forces change. Maybe it breaks the addiction to $300 million budgets nobody can afford. Maybe it rewards efficiency and creativity over spectacle and bloat. Maybe the industry needs to be cracked open so something healthier can grow from the inside. Something where more studios can survive, where more strange ideas get funded, where making a game doesn't require selling to every person on the continent just to avoid bankruptcy. Maybe Rockstar burns the field, and maybe something better grows from the scorched ground. Or maybe they just get richer while everyone else drowns. That's a perfectly valid reading of the same evidence, same facts, different conclusion. That's what makes this so maddening. There's no clean answer, no obvious villain, no simple moral, just a $2 billion game and a 2-digit number, and 100 different futures, branching off from a single decision that one man in a Manhattan office has to make. I don't have the answer. Neither does Strauss Zelnick, sitting behind his desk, turning that number over and over, knowing with total clarity that whatever he picks will echo through the industry for 10 years. He knows what GTA 5 proved about volume. He knows what GTA Online proved about ecosystems. He knows the pressure from investors above and the expectations from consumers below, and the competitors watching from the side. He knows the whole world is watching him make this call. GTA 6 ships November 19th, 2026. By the time some of you hear this, the price might already be out there. 70, 80, 60, some tiered construction designed by a committee of accountants to thread the needle between consumer goodwill and shareholder returns. Whatever the number is, you now understand what's actually at stake. It's not $10. It's not 20. It's the future of how games get built, how they get priced, who gets to build them, and who doesn't survive long enough to try. One number, one game, one company, big enough to change the rules for everybody else. And 200 million people holding their wallets, each about to cast a vote they might not even realize counts. What should GTA 6 cost? What would you actually pay? I want to hear it. Catch you in the next one.